Hi, my name is Paul Denny from the University of Auckland, and it's my pleasure to give you a very brief introduction to PeerWise, which is a tool that you can use to augment your teaching practice. So PeerWise is a repository of multiple choice questions which are created by your students. The idea behind getting your students to create the questions is it's a good way of getting them to actively engage with course content and to reflect on the important concepts and ideas that you've been teaching them in class. Multiple choice questions are quite a good format because students need to think about alternative answers to their question, and in doing so they need to consider possible misconceptions that their fellow classmates might have about the question. A really important part of the question authoring process is writing an explanation. So this is where the student places themselves almost in the shoes of the teacher and tries to explain in their own words why the answer to their question is correct and try and explain the important concepts and ideas. And of course, these explanations can be useful for other students, particularly if they answer the question incorrectly, to help them try and understand what they may have done wrong. And of course, because students are creating these questions and sharing them with their classmates, they become a very useful review resource. So students can attempt any of the questions that have been created by their peers, and they get immediate corrective feedback about their answers. In addition, students can evaluate the quality of one another's questions, and these aggregate ratings make it easy for students to find questions that are of high quality. So what I'm going to do now is just show you a very quick demonstration of PeerWise from the student's perspective. What we have here is a PeerWise course on introductory physics, and let's say that a student wants to investigate and have a look at the questions that their classmates have created. So to do that, they would click on the View button in the Unanswered Questions section, and you can see in this particular course there are already 356 questions available. So clicking on that View button reveals all of the questions that are currently in the repository. One thing that students can do is choose topics of interest. So let's say, for example, that this student was interested in practicing questions that were about circular motion. So now they're looking at all of the questions that are related to circular motion. They can then sort those questions by quality rating, and this allows them to find the good questions about that topic. Let's try and attempt this first question here. So you can see this is a question that was authored by a student, and a lot of creativity has come through. So here the student is describing a battle between King Kong and Godzilla, but all of the important physical concepts are being assessed. So the idea is, given a particular radius of circular motion and a particular velocity and acceleration vector, will King Kong be able to throw Godzilla over the building and into the Tokyo harbour? So all of the information about the question is shown here. This is written in the student's own words. And now, as a student trying to answer this question, we are shown the alternatives. So does Godzilla clear the skyscraper and land in the bay? Or does he fall short of the bay? Or does he crash into the skyscraper? Or does he fail to reach the skyscraper? Now, fortunately, I had a bit of time before this demonstration to work out the answer, and I think the answer is C. So when I select that answer, what I get is immediate feedback about my answer. So here I'm told I'm correct. I also earn a badge called the Question Answerer badge, and there is a large set of badges that students can earn when they're using PeerWise, and I've also earned 10 answer points. What I can do now is just review my answer to the question, and I can see immediately how every other student in the course has answered this question. I'm also shown the explanation for the answer to the question, and this is certainly useful if I answer the question incorrectly, because now I can go through the actual working and the calculations and find out what it is that I did wrong. Underneath the explanation is an opportunity to discuss this question with my classmates. So there are comments where, particularly if I want to try and get some idea clarified, I can do that by asking the rest of the class. So what I'd like to do now is show you from the instructor's perspective what you would do if you wanted to set up a course for your own students to use. And to make this nice and simple, I'm going to pretend that I'm just teaching a course with 3 students. Now, each of these students has some unique identifier, and I've just made up, for the purposes of this demonstration, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, and 3, 4, 5. But certainly for your own classes, you probably have some unique identifier, whether it's a student identifier, a student ID number, or an email address that you can use to identify your students. But in my example, I'll be using these three-digit numbers. Okay. So the process as an instructor to get started is very simple. So the only thing you need to do is provide the name that you'd like your course to have. So let's say that I want my particular course to be about chemistry. And then what we can do is create this course. And what we'll see now is we've got this new course called chemistry appearing as a pending course. The only other thing that I have to do is provide my student identifiers. So those were those 3 students that we looked at before. So I know that in my case, the identifiers are 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, and 3, 4, 5. But of course, in practice, you wouldn't type these in, you would probably copy and paste them from some official list of your students. And once we've done that, we can update the identifier list, and back in the home menu, this chemistry course is now a live course that my students can immediately start participating with. To join, they simply need to provide their identifier and the course ID. So that's really all there is to it. I do hope that you find PeerWise a very useful tool in your own teaching.